If I was a young man trying to get rich from scratch with no previous experience and no money to my name, I'd be quite worried because it is getting progressively harder to get rich and make money. And there's been a window of opportunity, so to speak, to build personal financial resources and to get rich basically for the last decade. Like it's been easy. And the problem is that window is now closing because lots of the opportunities that were available to you are now being replaced by artificial intelligence, are now being replaced by people from third world countries that will do it for a half of the price or a third of the price or a quarter of the price that you would have done it. And so this video is kind of a call to action really for you to try and get rich as soon as you can, because a lot of people are going to be replaced, a lot of jobs are going to go out of fashion, and so a lot of the traditional making money online methods that a lot of people are following right now, they're not going to exist in a year or two. A prime example of this is appointment setting. So one way to make money online is to be an appointment setter. And that's basically where you go to businesses and you say, hello, I would like to do your appointment setting for you, and you set them sales calls basically. There are now tools in development for AI appointment setting, and I've seen these tools and I've used them, and honestly, they're better than the average setter. Another example of this is web design. So one way to make a lot of money a couple of years ago was to do web design for companies and marketing, like SEO and stuff. And now, like, you can go on Shopify and you can get an AI like Shopify store built in literally like 60 seconds for free, and the store is way better than anything any designer could have produced in like a couple of weeks. And so this is quite worrying because, you know, if you want to get rich, like, all of these opportunities, the windows are closing, man. And so every time AI or the third world replaces the option of you doing something, that leaves more and more people flocking to things that cannot be AIified just yet. And so, for example, like, you know, one way of making money online could be building an agency, like a marketing agency or like an AI integration agency where you go to businesses and you try and help them. Or another example of making money online is doing like high ticket closing. Or, you know, there's 101 different ways to do it. But piece by piece, all of these opportunities are becoming harder and harder to get into because there's players in that game that have been doing it for 10 years. So like, for example, the marketing agency game and how to make money online as a marketing agency owner has been around for, dare I say, like 10 years now, nearly a decade. And so when you get into that space, you're up against people that have already been doing it for 10 years. And so every year that passes with every single one of these make money online schemes, you're up against people that have a year of experience over you. And in the same way that like the AI automation agency game is sort of on the trend at the moment, it's like all of these things, like, people are flocking to them because everyone who wants to make money online can no longer do it with a lot of methods that are being replaced by AI. And so it's not all doom and gloom, because what I want to do in this quick video is kind of give you some ideas that you can carry into any business model that will help you outcompete and become successful so that you can still make money in this sort of last gold rush, if that makes sense. So the first piece of advice I give anyone getting into any business model is focus as heavily as you can on the one thing that actually matters. So what this means is that when you go into a business model, if you're executing on tasks for people to make money, like running a marketing agency or being a high ticket closer, like, you're going into an industry. So if you're going to start an AI agency, then you're going into the AI industry. If you're going to start a marketing agency, then you're going into the marketing industry. If you're going into the high ticket closing space, then you're going into the sales industry. And so what you need to learn to do is, honestly, the fastest way to build massive success in those things quickly is find every single available piece of content or media on the industry and consume it as fast as humanly possible. And so what you want to think of becoming is, you want to think of becoming like an encyclopedia for your industry. And so I did this. My first business was a marketing agency. And what I did is I started working with gyms, and the story is basically I would cold call gyms and say, hey, I can run Facebook ads for you. And now it's a little bit harder to do that these days. You've got to be a little bit more nuanced than that. You've got to have a lot more sales game and guarantees and offers and stuff. It's a bit more complicated. But I could just call a gym up and say, hey, I want to run Facebook ads for you. Can you give me £1,000 a month? And one in every couple of hundred people would actually say, yeah, no, why not? And so I got to 10k a month with that business model by the time I was 19, and I got to 100k a month by the time I was like 21, I think, and I became a millionaire from that pretty quick. And one of the reasons that happened, and one of the reasons I became so successful so quickly, is largely because when I decided I was going to go into marketing, I found, and I'm not even joking, I found every single piece of content that I possibly could on marketing and consumed it in its entirety. So every book, every YouTube video, every podcast, every blog post, every email newsletter, everything. I found like the top 25 people in the marketing space, all the way back from David Ogilvy to Ty Lopez, like from past to present, and I consumed everything. I became a complete monster encyclopedia at my industry. And what that allowed me to do is basically make better decisions and build better value for clients. Because, let me just adjust my camera here. Okay, here we go. Because, when I was working with my clients and when I was trying to make my clients money, I just knew more than every other agency. And so when I basically was just better than everybody else. And so that's the kind of point I'm making with this first point is the way you win and the way that you're going to beat everybody flocking to the same spaces as you is by being better than them. And the only real way to do that is to know more than them. Because a lot of these business models that help you make money online, I'm just going to swap here. Ooh. Okay, I'm just going to swap hands. A lot of these business models that help you make money online, they're knowledge-based businesses. And so what you're effectively doing, whether it's through coaching, consulting, or done-for-you marketing, or done-for-you closing, or anything like that, what you're doing is usually selling information. Now, if you're getting into e-commerce or Amazon FBA or affiliates or sort of something like that, then it's not as, your advantage won't heavily come as much from the knowledge you have, but still know the industry you're going into inside out, know all the terminology, and you have to basically become a complete dictionary for it. The second piece of advice I'd give you going into one of these business models is move with as much speed and ferocity as humanly possible. So one of the easiest, because here's the thing, right? Think about it like this. When you get into your business and you start this business or you start this thing that you want to learn to make money online with, you're up against people who have been doing this for a while. And so, if you imagine that business is like a race, like a 100-meter race, there's going to be a lot of people in the race who are starting 50 meters ahead of you. So imagine it's a 100-meter race, 100-meter dash. There's some people that are going to be 80 meters close to the finish line. Some people starting next to you at the beginning with no experience or knowledge. Some people starting 20 meters down the line. Some people start at 50 meters down the line. And depending on how experienced someone is, when you go up against them, they could be further down the line than you. And the only way to overtake people who are further ahead than you is to do more work in less time. And so say that you're up against someone in business who has been doing it for a year, and that's your competitor. It's and then what that means is if they're still in business, for another year, so okay, let me rephrase this. So let's say you're up against someone, competitor A, and competitor A has been doing this for a year. And so what needs to happen is that by the time you've been in business for a year, they'll have been in business for 2. And if you want to beat competitor A, you have to do more work in 1 year than they've done in 2. Does that make sense? And so the speed and the ferocity at which you move and make decisions and build things and take actions is the only way you can beat people. And so this is kind of my advantage in business right now, because I've been in my industry, which is client acquisition consulting for B2B service providers, like agencies, coach consultants, how to get clients, right? And I've been in that space now for about 5 years. And I've been moving pretty fast. So if someone wants to beat me and dethrone me as the number one person in that space, they have to come in, rely on me slowing down, and then work harder, faster, and longer than me for a couple of years. And I don't think that that's going to happen. And my number one advantage in business has always been my ability to basically work non-stop and do nothing but work in this industry. And that's how you win. And that's how you build severe, disgusting advantages. Warren Buffett calls this a moat. So in business, there's this business theory that Warren Buffett, the billionaire, he's one of the richest men on the planet. He's worth 100 billion or something stupid like that. he says that like your business needs to have a moat. And that is basically like, think about a castle. I mean, take this castle behind me, right? Where I'm staying. Actually, we're going to go in because it's getting a bit cold. Like he says you need to have a moat. And like a moat is kind of like from medieval times where you've got a castle, and that castle is going to be like, you know, the whole reason that you'd build castle walls is to stop like foreign people or like the enemy trying to like raid your castle and steal your horses and wives and wheat, right, back in the day. And like a moat was a way for you to protect your castle. And so what a lot of lords and kings would do with their castles is dig these massive trenches and fill them with water, so that the only way to get into the castle was through the drawbridge. And so when you come to invade the castle, if it's got a moat, it's significantly harder to take over. And business is basically the same thing. It's like, you know, if like my moat in business is the amount of sheer pain and work that I've put myself through and done, so that anyone who comes along to try and take my crown has to go through more pain and work than I have to do that. And by the way, look at this thing. How sick is this? Look at that. All right, mate. We need to give him a name. What should we name him? Adonis. He looks like an Adonis, doesn't he? Although he is like, what do you reckon he is, like 5'8"? Let's have a look. So you need to have a moat. And you need to have like something that protects you. Yeah, see, I'm 6'2", so he's probably about like 5'10", at a push. Anyway, doesn't matter. And anyway, so that's basically the point. Is like you're getting into these business models, you're getting into these places, it's competitive, it's tough, and the only real thing that's going to give you an advantage is your work ethic. Yeah, your intelligence and your ability to like synthesize information and comprehend ideas and like make good decisions and stuff, but all of that really just comes from having a ridiculous work ethic. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how you build a moat. That's how you get successful. And you can subscribe because I'm not cold anymore because I've come inside. Bye.